Welcome to today's special debate. Our topic is the system of value, SOV, a proposed universal currency tied to real production. To my left is Professor V representing the SOV, and to my right is Dr. Amina, who specializes in global South economies. Dr. Amina, please start us off.
Professor V, let's be honest. The global economic system is structurally unfair. The global South exports cheap raw materials and imports expensive finished goods. Wealth flows north. Debt traps keep countries dependent. Currency devaluation erodes wages. Your SOV system claims to fix this, but it still uses global markets. How does SOV dismantle the structural inequality baked into the world economy?
SOV dismantles at the root by eliminating the monetary mechanisms that create unequal exchange. Under SOV, all nations use the same currency. No country can devalue its currency to cheapen labor. No country can manipulate exchange rates. A day of human effort is valued the same everywhere. The global South is no longer forced to compete through artificially low wages or weak currencies. Trade becomes genuinely
Even
fair.
with a universal currency, the global South still exports primary goods and imports manufactured goods. The value chain is unequal. The North captures the profits. SOV doesn't change who controls technology, capital, or global supply chains.
It changes the incentives that keep those structures in place. When money is tied to primary production, the global South's contributions become the foundation of the global currency that gives primary producers unprecedented leverage. And because investment under SOV comes from real savings, the reservoir, not from northern credit markets, global South nations gain access to capital without falling into debt traps. SOV shifts power toward producers of real value.
Debt is the main tool of control. The global South pays more in interest than it receives in aid. Structural adjustment programs force austerity. Sovereign debt crises destroy economies. Your system doesn't mention debt. How does SOV address the debt burden crushing developing nations?
SOV eliminates debt-based money creation entirely. Under SOV, you cannot borrow money into existence. Governments cannot accumulate unpayable debt. International lenders cannot trap nations through interest. Investment comes from real store value, the reservoir, not from loans. Existing debts will be restructured into SOV terms, eliminating the inflation and currency risk that make them unpayable. SOV frees the global South from the financial architecture that keeps it dependent.
Colonialism extracted resources, labor, and wealth from the global South for centuries. Those historical imbalances persist. A new currency system doesn't erase that. How does SOV address historical injustice?
SOV doesn't erase history. It prevents its continuation. Today's inequalities are perpetuated through monetary privilege, reserve currencies, capital flows, interest rates, and exchange rate manipulation. SOV removes those tools. It creates a level playing field where nations rise through real productivity, not through inherited financial power. It's not a reparation system, but is a system where exploitation cannot continue.
Developing nations need policy space, industrial policy, subsidies, tariffs, currency management to catch up. The global North used these tools when it industrialized. SOV seems to restrict monetary sovereignty. Doesn't that limit our ability to develop?
SOV restricts monetary manipulation, not development policy. Governments can still invest in infrastructure, education, technology, and industry. They simply do so using real value, not borrowed value. This prevents corruption, waste, and dependency. And because SOV eliminates currency risk, global South nations can trade, invest, and plan long-term without fear of devaluation or capital flight. SOV expands policy space by stabilizing the foundation.
Global crises, droughts, pandemics, commodity shocks hit the global South hardest. We don't have reserves. We don't have safety nets. We don't have the fiscal capacity to respond. How does SOV protect vulnerable nations during crises?
SOV includes a multi-year global reservoir of essential goods, food, energy, raw materials. During crises, the system draws from stored value, This protects all nations equally. No country is left behind because it lacks reserves. No country is forced into emergency loans. No country faces famine or collapse because of a temporary shock. SOV provides a safety net the Global South has never been given.
You're arguing that the mechanisms that keep the Global South poor, debt, currency manipulation, unequal exchange, capital flight, reserve currency privilege, are not inherent to global trade, but to the monetary system.
Exactly. SOV removes those mechanisms. It forces all nations to operate within the same physical reality. No shortcuts. No hidden extraction. No structural advantage.
I approached this debate assuming SOV was another technocratic reform, something designed in the North, imposed on the South. But I see now that it's the opposite. It dismantles the financial architecture that keeps the Global South dependent. It values our labor fairly. It values our resources fairly. It gives us access to capital without debt. And it protects us during crises.
That's the goal. Not to redesign the world from above, but to remove the distortions that prevent genuine development.
Then I'm convinced. SOV isn't just fair. It's liberating. I'm switching sides.
Well, that's remarkable. A Global South economist genuinely persuaded by the logic of SOV. Thank you both for an extraordinary debate. And big thanks to our audience. I strongly recommend that you watch Part 1 and especially Part 2 of the Universal Currency videos to learn more about the SOV. See you in the next debate.